Welcome to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. The podcast that will connect you to resources regionally and nationwide to engage them in open, honest discussions so that we can inspire the growth that you need to chase the experience you want. So strap yourself in because here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Chasing Your Experience podcast. I'm your host, Sean Smith, and we have a special one in store for you today. I've been tracking down this company since probably about, it's been several years now, because I first met them at the open season sportsman show there in Columbus several years ago. And been dying to get them on the podcast because I really believe in what they're doing. They're an arrow manufacturer, arrow supplier here in Ohio. I love their premise that they're doing where they give you an option to purchase like 3 arrows if you want to test something out, but you don't have to fully commit to something without testing it first. Love the premise, love everything about it. Most of it is, I think some of the components when I first heard was locally sourced, but I'm talking about Warhead Arrow Company, and I couldn't think of anyone better to represent the company than the owner himself, Jason Lucas. So everyone, help me welcome Jason Lucas to the show.
How's it going, everybody?
How are you, man?
I am just peachy. Work, eat, sleep is what it seems like.
Well, I guess we might as well make hay while we can, you know?
Oh, yeah. Enjoy it while you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jason, your first time coming on a podcast, and hopefully we'll get to see you again at, if we, later down the road at a certain point, maybe get another episode in to get some updates and stuff and along the way. But your first time on, so I guess we'll just kind of open like this. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background in the hunting, and not necessarily just the hunting industry, but just hunting in general, outdoors. And we'll just kind of start opening up from there. What do you think?
All right. That sounds good. I love talking about it, where I started at, and especially in the archery, because archery is a passion. So
I hear you, brother.
I think it's been roughly 22-ish years ago, I believe, when I started, when I shot my first deer with a bow. It was a Buckmaster's BTR that I picked up from Walmart, and grabbed a handful of arrows from Walmart and let it rip. Never looked back. So a buddy of mine, which, rest in peace, but he got me into archery. I lived in Indiana, so kind of hard to talk about that part of it because he's not with us anymore, but he got me started into deer hunting, whitetail hunting, turkey hunting, stuff like that. My dad got me started into small game, rabbit, quail, grouse, squirrel, that type of stuff. And I love the outdoors, everything about it. If I'm not outside at least a couple times a day, I feel like I'm in a big city.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So I travel a lot for work here in the States, and not in the States, but here in the state of Ohio. And I always dread going to cities because it's just a different atmosphere. And it's just so much bustle, so much cluster. Like, it's so relieving to come back out. And because I'm from Tuscarawas County, so we got a little bit of some city, a little bit, but nothing huge, right?
Yeah.
And you get a chance to get away. And I just find it so much peaceful. It's too hectic in those areas for me to stay. Like, I don't mind going, visiting, doing the work I got to do, and then leave. But outside of that, I'm happy where I'm at. I get to be outside. Got to be.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Well, man, I'm sorry to hear about your friend. I know, that's always a hard thing to lose somebody that's close to you, especially someone that's meant so much to you when you're, that brought you into the outdoor world. And I'm sorry for that loss. But at the same time, I think he's a little bit grateful for the passion that he helped instill into you and how that's lived on with what you're doing today, which is amazing.
Oh yeah. Every second of it, man. I wouldn't trade those memories for nothing, man. It was deer camp every weekend, for 5-6 years before I moved back to Kentucky. So
yeah, well, that's awesome because there's a lot of things that does not seem to happen much these days. Like you see, there are a few pockets of people that still do the camps and stuff, and
Mm.
I think it's just become so much of an individualistic sport, especially with archery. You know how personal that is. That we've kind of lost a little bit of that. Um, I
Yeah.
know, I know here in Ohio, like that was the main reason why I gun hunted was just the camaraderie behind it. Then as that group started to fade off and fade away, some aged out, some moved away, some just didn't do it anymore. It kind of lost its luster to me. And then
Yeah.
archery, like you, is a passion for me. So I kind of stayed with it. So
That's
like,
one thing I've tried to start. Um, like I think it was last year, the year before. It's 2 years ago. I started a deer camp. Like I'll send like random invites out to people that I meet and people that I know, and just if you can come, you come. If not, then that's fine. But I'll just send random invites out. And certain times of the year during hunting season, I will have deer camp to just have that. And that's something I started. We're going to do it again this year in Kentucky instead of Ohio. And it's just something that I think is important, in my opinion, for archery and just for the camaraderie aspect of it.
yeah, there's a lot to be said about that human aspect of the hunting group being together, like the shared experience with each other. I don't want to get too scientific in it, but just that shared experience that we have with that, it's like primal
Yeah,
to us. It's something that
yeah,
we need, despite our best efforts of trying to get away from it with all of our socials and all of our electronic life and our busy lives and stuff. And we truly do need those moments, and it just the clarity that that brings is amazing.
yeah.
So if you're listening, look at do stuff like that. I got to kick my own butt for this because I've kind of gotten away from it myself, and I keep saying, "Man, we got to go do this. We got to go do this." And then when time comes, it's like I just never. I just can't bring myself
It's
to do it.
never there. There's never enough time in the day.
No, no, and I tell myself at all times, like, dude, there will never be enough time. You just got to do it. You just
Yep,
go. Whatever. Leave leave the house in a good place when you leave.
yep,
So it doesn't get too far behind while you're gone, and then come back. You'll be amazed how much of a better person you are when you come back.
yep,
So well, man, that's a little bit of your background. So you're pretty passionate about archery, and I am as well. And I kind of chuckled when you said that you got your first bow from Walmart and your arrows from Walmart. And I'm like, my first bow I bought used off somebody, and I went to Walmart and bought the arrows that came. I seen because he had arrows already. They're aluminum. We're going way
yeah.
back when
Oh yeah,
before carbon was really popular. So we're talking aluminum, and they're the Easton Game Getters. I think they're like 65 70s or something, right? And this
yeah,
goes to show you how ignorant I am. Back then, obviously, you don't know what you don't know. I kept buying those arrows because, well, I thought that was for a 65, 70 pound bow. That's what those numbers to me meant, right? So I just continued to buy those, right? Um, but the point I guess I want to make, like, there's a bit of truth behind ignorance is bliss because back then, what did we know? We didn't know anything. We just know bought a
yeah,
bow, we put an arrow on a string, we shot it, and then if it hit the bullseye, great. If it didn't, we moved the sight until it did. And then we went out, we
yep.
went hunting, right?
That's exactly what happened. Threw the sight on it because it was a kit, the bow kit. Threw the sight on it, sighted in for 20 and 30, and let it rip.
Yeah. Just let it go. Not a care in the world. Didn't care, right?
No, I
And
couldn't even tell you what spine I picked up. I couldn't even tell you what arrow I picked up. I just grabbed a handful of them, like 7, 8 arrows, and just went with it.
I
I think
said
I
this a
grabbed a
lot.
package of Rage broadheads. I mean, just everything all at once, and I actually still have, and I'm actually shooting it this year, is my original release that I got whenever I bought that bow.
Oh yeah, looky there.
So, the old bear paw from True Fire.
Look at, oh, I'm trying to think what my first release was. It was a True Fire, and I don't remember exactly which one it was. And I've been on quite the journey of different releases in
Yeah,
handhelds, and I've punched myself in the face a couple times with a couple handhelds, and it's a journey as you
oh, yeah.
move through. But that ignorance is bliss, man. Can you imagine like today the amount that we know and the amount that we put into things, and then just realize that there's still so much that we still don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's people that still do exactly like we did it just because they don't really I mean, archery is one of those things you can dive in as deep as you want. You can get your toes wet or you can submerge. I mean, it's one of those things that you can just do as far as you wanna go with it.
Yeah.
So And there's people that just barely get their toes wet and just go out and enjoy it. And that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, it is what it is. There's different parts of it for everybody, and that's the fun part about archery is you can take it as far as you want.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I'm envious of those who are just okay with, and nothing wrong with what they're doing. Like I know it's going to sound bad when I say this, that are okay with just grabbing their bow. They throw this, they get Mod Podge, whatever it is, and they go out and they're successful, right? I'm
Yep.
envious of those people because the amount of work that I do, and sometimes I think I've gotten a few lines on my forehead because of the
Yeah.
worry of why can't I get this thing to time? I don't understand what's going on. Just the worry behind some of these things. So I'm envious of them, but
Yeah. It is nice. It's simpler.
yeah, it is very simple, very simple. But I think that's a good point to hear for a lot of people too, is that you don't really need to get that in the weeds. Like if you get on YouTube, you get on any of the social medias, and I'm guilty of this myself at times, right? But you get on podcasts, um, social medias, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. There's a lot of people there telling you that you absolutely have to do it this way, or you absolutely have
Yeah.
to make sure that this is, or you won't be successful. And then I think it dives people in the wrong direction,
Yep.
or get them worrying too much to where they spend too much time dealing with that versus just going out and getting the experience that they really need, you
Yeah.
know, because you were successful before before you know what you know today. You threw together a bow, went out and you harvested your first deer. I didn't know you had the broadhead tune. I knew nothing
Yep.
about it. I just threw, and to be honest with you, I didn't even shoot the first broadheads before. Like I just threw them
Yeah.
on, went out hunting, and luckily the deer were close enough that it didn't matter. But you
Yeah.
know, but it still has success, right? We still see success. So I guess the point of it is like don't let the noise cloud up your judgment or cloud your perception that you can't be successful unless you do all these things. So
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to, like at shows and stuff, that are kind of not really overwhelmed, but kind of don't want to get into it because they think it's so technical. And I'm like, dude, just go get a bow and an arrow and sight it in and go hunt. I was like,
mhm.
don't just keep it simple. Don't overthink it. And you'd be surprised at how many people that are actually afraid to even get into it just because of that.
Yeah, I yeah. Well, I mean, and look at the barrier of entry now, though. Like here in Ohio, our do you know what our stats are for deer season with compound bows or long bows compared to crossbows?
I haven't looked at it.
It's tremendously swayed towards crossbows. Like shotguns and longbows have killed the same percentage of deer in Ohio, and it was like 13% of the harvest was with longbows and shotguns. The number one was the straight walled cartridge, followed by crossbows was number two, and
Yeah.
those two will fight with each other back and forth over the year to see who's going to be number one. So
Huh.
the barrier of entry, and again, archery has changed a little bit because of crossbows. And I'm not anti-crossbow. This is conversation is not going in that direction. I'm not anti-crossbow. It is what it
Yeah.
is. I understand that, right? It just goes to show that there. I think some people may be afraid to pick up that vertical bow or that long bow or the compound bow, whatever you want to call it, and get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Um, because of some of these, like guys, just try it. Just pick it up, try it, see what you think, because it's easier. It is easier than you think if you don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like they don't they're so used to guns and so used to crossbows, you can shoot a deer at 100 yards away. And with a vertical bow, you bring them into your lap. So it's like a lot of people don't want to put that effort in sometimes. And it's just like, it's simple. Just go out and hunt, scout a little bit. And I understand people don't have time to do that too. It's just one of those things. But it's a season. They go out. Hey, I've been successful in gun season, so why would I change it? You know what I mean? Something like that. But I mean, I definitely try to sway people towards trying it because there's no feeling like it whenever you are successful with a like compound, recurve, or anything like that. But it's just a different feeling than taking one from 100 yards away. Whenever you shoot one at 7 yards.
It's Dude, it's a major rush. It is a major rush, man. And I want to take a moment to talk about something that has transformed my approach to hunting. That's mock scrapes. I was introduced to the Scrape Doctor system 2 years ago in Columbus, Ohio. And let me tell you, it changed my game. If you're looking to dive into mock scrapes or just need a fresh perspective, I highly recommend checking out scrapedoctor.com. Their insights have been invaluable, and it's been great to see how my skills have developed since that first meeting. What's more, our relationship has blossomed into a fantastic friendship. And to celebrate that, I want to share an exclusive deal with you. Use code CountryFried15 at scrapedoctor.com to save 15% on your purchase. Trust me, you won't regret it. I remember that first one I told you about, like the first I harvested with a bow, basically right underneath the stand. He was a little 6 point. You would have thought that I killed a 200-inch like monster. That just the excitement I had. And there's nothing. I'm not trying to compare that 200-inch deer has more value than that 6 point. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I guess, the perspective for most people. Like this was.
Yeah.
The excitement. I'm surprised I was able to stay in my tree stand. I didn't like fall out of it from all the excitement that I had. You know, the guy was back in the day when we just had belts. I don't know if you remember those at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually
we,
have one.
oh, I have
The
actually,
silent slide.
yeah, I actually fell with one on. I'm very grateful for harnesses these days. Let's
Yeah.
just put it that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Very grateful for harnesses. Um, man, yeah, the excitement that you have, and also like I had a really good experience with a buck on the ground. I've told the story a couple of times on the podcast, but him and I is 20 yards from each other. He's a, big 5-year-old buck. He didn't score very well, which that's not important, but he big buck, right? 20 yards, eye level. I'm on the ground and, and I wasn't even ready. Like I was away from the tree. I was peeing. And when he started to come in, so I like crawl back to basically to the tree where I left my bow and then get everything ready to go, and still was able to get an arrow in him. And just that exhilaration of that close being there and having to work through all that, I totally understand exactly where you're coming from with that feeling that you get from being up close to the animals. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to beat. It is really hard to beat, especially when you have that experience, man. So let's dive into a little bit, because we're here to talk a little bit about, obviously, about Warhead Arrow Company, and I want to know some of the story behind it. Like, how did you get involved with the company? How did and then eventually, ultimately, ended up to you being the owner of the company. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, the company started, I think, back in 2020, I believe, or 2019, 2020, somewhere along those lines,
Hmm.
whenever Gerald opened it up. And it had ran for like probably a year, I believe. And then let's see, what was it? I think I went to his shop and traded in a bow for one of the new elites that came out those years or whatever. And he had mentioned it to me about, hey, try, check these arrows out. Got the arrow company and blah, blah, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, well, so I jumped on the field staff. I was like, I'll shoot them. I ain't worried about it. I'll do it. And so I've shot them for years before I even became anything part of it, and had success with them. Great arrow, still shoot them, obviously, to this day. But few years fast forwarded, and he kind of reached out to me one day and was like, "Hey, man, I need help. Do you want to kind of buy into the company and become part owner?" Obviously, right off the rip, I was thinking, "Yes, absolutely, I'm doing it." But then reality, I'm like, "Do I really have time to do this?" I was like, "I'll get back with you." Had to think about it, go over with the wife if I even wanted to try to do it, and kind of like almost like a silent partner type deal. And so I agreed to it, bought into the company, became part owner, and a few years ran it. Definitely time consuming because the shop was over there, a little bit of a drive for me. So I had to do my thing and then drive to the shop and do everything that I do here at my house now.
Hmm.
So a little bit of time frame there and stuff like that. Um, then one day we talked and he's just like, "Man, I'm getting older, got a job, a different job or whatever." He said, "I'm just kind of getting out of it." He said, "I don't really want to mess with it anymore." He said, "I don't want to," he's quite a little bit, I won't say quite a bit. If he watches this, I'm sorry, Gerald, but a little bit older than I am. So he's kind of, he wanted to get out of that part of it just because of that and different things. And I was like, okay, man. I was like, well, what's the plan then? He talked about selling it to somebody else. And then I come home and talk to the wife about it. I said, hey, I said, there's so many people that are shooting these arrows and so many people that back this company. I said, I don't want to let them down. That's exactly how I said it. No joke, not trying to beef myself up or anything. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I said to my wife. I was like, I don't want to let them down and sell it to somebody that doesn't care about the company, doesn't care about what we've kind of built. He built a solid foundation, and then whenever I came in, it just kept building a little bit, and I was like, I don't want to lose that. I was like, I don't want to let them people down. I said, he offered, if I'm going to offer him, he didn't offer, but I'm going to offer to him to buy out his half. And that's basically what I did. So I had a different plan for the direction of the company where he was based around, he wanted dealers and stuff like that, which is a good thing. But I wanted to base it around basically website stuff to have that one-on-one with people more often.
Mhm.
Because when it was the other way, you didn't really talk to people a lot. Like, you didn't really you basically you didn't have any inventory, you didn't have anything because dealers would just wipe you out, and you didn't when people would try to order stuff off the website, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna change this around this way so I can have this right here, one-on-one with people and talk to people. I talk to people every day. I love it. I love talking to people just about anything, even if they're having issues with stuff. It's one of those things that I think the archery industry is kind of left behind with that one-on-one with people and companies and stuff like that. And that's just my opinion that I think that's important.
Mhm.
But yeah, I took over last year, 2025, and here we are a little over a year later, and it's doing better than it ever has.
You've taken it to that. I think a lot of businesses started to go to that direct to consumer approach,
Yeah.
where they can control it. And so I understand it's not maybe a direct metaphor or direct analogy, but around this area, we used to have a cable company called Time Warner Cable.
Yeah.
And so Time Warner had their own techs, had their own people that went out and installed stuff for you, right? And so they thought, well, you know what? We could probably save a little bit of money if we contract this out, right? So they contracted out, have other people do the work for them. And then you soon realized that they were losing control of the quality of what was happening. They lost control of
Yeah.
what was going on, right? And so they said, you know what? We need to start bringing our people back. And so I kind of equate what you just said to kind of the same premise. Like, okay, so we're going to build this product. We might start small, right? And where we have that one-on-one, we can build those relationships. And all of a sudden now we're growing where we want to grow. And we think our best bet is to have other people do our speaking for us, right? So we're going to have dealers do this for us. We're going to sell inventory to dealers. Dealers can process this. Not a big deal for us, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you start to lose control of the product at that point in time. As you just said, right? You lost control of the quality. You don't know exactly what the dealers are saying about the product. They don't know how they're handling it. And you're losing those conversations with the people that help grow the company. Not
Yep.
not not like the TikTok, like where you buy like, hey, give us $20 and we'll make sure you get 20,000 views. Not something like this. Like we're
Yeah.
talking true growth, right?
Yep.
You were building the relationship with those that are going to be more of a lasting, more of a diehard customer to you with that. And so you said, you know what, we need to bring this back in, and we're going to go direct to consumer. Where I have the interactions, where I could promote the company, where, along with my selected, field staff, shooters, whoever they are, right, that I personally have selected or the group has selected. So
Yep.
yeah, I see the sense behind all that.
Yep.
Despite
And
dealers, oh, go ahead.
sorry, I still have a few dealers, like some smaller dealers.
Mhm.
Like my biggest dealer is Mike's Archery, and a few smaller dealers here and there. I don't shy away from dealers, but I don't want giant dealers. Like, you know, I don't really know, like people that can take small quantities
Mhm.
is basically what I'm looking for. And I don't really look for it. They reach out to me, and I look into them, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, we can do that. We can try it out and see how it goes. But that's just part of the building process. Is if I get a few dealers here and there, it's not going to hurt nothing because I'm a one man operation and I have a full time job. So time frame there is also, I believe in getting product out fast. I
Mhm,
believe in quality control. So I literally weigh every component, every arrow, everything to make sure everything is consistent as I can make it.
mhm.
And it's just a time thing. So I don't want to get overwhelmed with so many dealers, but I do keep a few just for the aspect of a few things.
Yeah. I will say something about your quality control. Like when I've weighed arrows, now different batches, I might get a little bit of variance between one set that I got from another. But like if I order a set of arrows from you, like they are almost like spot on.
Yeah.
Um, so the last bit of 204s or 200 subjects that I'm building because I needed it's the last of the arrows I had I could cut and resize. All of them came in at 504. So I think it was 28 and three quarters. We'll just say 28 and three quarters carbon to carbon, or at least that's what my mods all said. And it was 28 and three quarters, where I cut it down to. And then stainless steel insert, 125 grain point, and then the normal componentry in the back, the IP5 knock with the knock collar, and then three air razor talon vanes came to 504. Every single one of them. I didn't weigh a couple of them I have, but I've come to the point where I just trust that what you said to me is going to be pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And that's what I get. And that's what I found. And each one of them came out of the six I made, all came out to 204. I'm sorry, 504 at that point. So, which is a little bit heavier than the one I've been shooting with the 300 fine. Those were down to like 430 something. I had those at, and shooting those. But I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to end up jumping up a spine. I think I found the 200s were flying a little bit better for me than the 300s, but that's a discussion we'll get into, man, here in a little
Yeah.
bit. But dude, I'm excited for you that you're now at the reins of this because I've seen some exciting stuff you've been doing. The directions you've been going, like you've been kind of expanding your beyond arrows. We'll just put it that way. Like you've gone beyond arrows. You got your components. You've got your light and knocks. You have a lot of stuff that's available online. But now you're starting to get into other products. Like I see your deer camp. I see your seasonings. Like there's a lot of things you're direction you're going into. Was that part of your vision for the company? Was to go this way, or was it just it kind of one of those things just that kind of fell in your lap and decided to go that way?
Well, it just kind of happened. Like I had no plan whatsoever to do anything like that. And everybody knows I use boutique wraps. Well, we share a collective through Shopify. So you can actually buy his wraps on my website now. And it's just something that Shopify offers because that's where my storefront is. And you can actually go into collective and look at different companies that sell different products. And they give you like a percentage margin. So if I would sell a different product and somebody would buy it off my website, I would get like 10 or 15%, and I don't even have to touch it. So I was thinking, well, people's wanting this stuff, and I get different feedback from everybody. Hey man, you should try this. You should try to sell this. Like people want fishing stuff. So I got on there and found a company that does fishing stuff through Collective. So everything that I have on the store, I personally don't touch. It goes directly to them when you order it, but I just get like a 10% or whatever from every sale. So it's kind of I didn't really plan on expanding like that. And there's some stuff that's probably going to go away, like some of the jerky stuff, because it just wasn't doing anything.
Mhm.
But I'll go through that more the more I go through my website and finalize my website and just kind of fine tune it and stuff like that. But yeah, it just kind of happened. I just started one day. I was just like, we're gonna add this, and then see what happens. And that's pretty much where it came from.
So before we start diving deep into arrows, like so I get on there and originally it's like, okay, so I see arrows and then you go to this one spot and there's seasonings. I'm like, well, we just totally did a 150, like a 180 turn what we're doing here. So let's let's give a little homage to the seasonings here. How did that happen? How did you get involved and decide, let's start, we're building arrows. Now let's do seasonings. What happened there? How did that come about?
Well, the thought process is if you harvest anything, you cook it, right? So it's kind of a one-stop shop if you want seasonings. And me and Hunt Chef have been friends for quite a few years, and met him at a show at the Columbus show quite a few years ago. And that's back when I had just my YouTube channel before I became the owner of Warhead. And I was like, "Hey, man, I do a YouTube channel. Can I get some seasonings maybe to put on there?" And then I started doing seasoning videos for Hunt Chef and did that, yada yada blah blah. We've talked through the years and just become real good friends and stuff like that. And I was like, man, what would it take for me to have like my own seasoning line for Warhead Arrow Company? This was last year, year before. And he's like, it'd be simple. He said, send me the recipes, we'll get it going. I was like, okay. I was like, well, that works. I was like, here you go. Cause I already have lists.
Got a list already.
So it worked out. I mean, he sends me the stuff, I put my label on it, and I mean, it's a one-stop shop. You go out, you take your deer, you take your turkey, whatever animal you're hunting, and skin it out, clean it, and now you got seasonings to put on it. So that's kind of the direction where that came from, basically.
What is it you're offering season wise? Because I know you have like your newest one was the slinging tacos that came out.
Yeah.
Um, so what are some other ones you got rolling?
I've got a sweet heat, so a little sweet on the front end, a little heat on the back end. That's the other new one that came out this year.
Hmm.
I've also got like a more coarse one. It's like a steak rub. So you just got bigger chunks of seasoning on it, like for burgers and steaks and all that stuff. Then I've got basically a beef rub.
Hmm.
So you can use it on anything beef. I use it on everything, like potatoes and all that crap. But it's mainly designed for beef and venison and just got that kind of beefy flavoring to it. And then the other ones for like chicken type stuff, poultry, a little more garlicky. I use it on everything too, eggs, potatoes, green beans. I mean, I almost put it in my cereal because I like it so good, but I mean, it's pretty good stuff. But that's pretty much it, really.
That's awesome. And those are all available on your website too, right? You can,
Yes.
yeah, awesome.
Yep.
I want to get some because I'm running low on some of the ones that I've had in the past. So I'm going to try some. And the Hunt Chef, I got some of his stuff. He's got some
Yeah.
great things. I
The
make,
only bad thing about seasonings is the shipping. Shipping's bad with anything
yeah.
because I don't control the shipping. It's part of the Shopify stuff. So
Mm.
it automatically puts shipping in whenever somebody orders something. So if you order seasonings, I mean, you end up paying out the butt for seasonings when you can just go to the store and buy it. I hate that, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
That reminds me, I have a question for you when we go off air about the shipping. So I will ask that off air. I won't make you answer it while we're talking. Um, so next question I have for you then. So that it's awesome you're going the route with the seasonings, but let's start diving into the arrows now because you have a newcomer to your arrow line that came out earlier or late last. No, was it late last year or early this year? I think you
It
came out.
was January.
So it was like right, quarter one,
Yeah.
Q1, first part of the quarter, you dropped the new arrow. But before that, you had a pretty good lineup already. So let's talk about your arrows and your lineup and what people should expect from them. I know it's a lot to talk about, but we'll break it down.
Well, just don't ask me the price of them because that's one thing I haven't remembered yet. Out of all the things I can remember, I can't remember pricing unless I look at the paper. But
I'll cut you off and say they are really, really reasonably priced compared to, if you take a comparable arrow from somebody else and compare to an arrow from Warhead, they are definitely very value packed. I will put it that way. So continue.
um, the arrow line was basically set at the foundation whenever Gerald started it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I don't know how much detail I'm going to get into with it, but he did some testing for a couple years before he actually brought Warhead online. So reached out to a couple manufacturers, got a bunch. I mean, he showed me everything, a bunch of stuff, and a lot of it was just kind of, nah, don't really want to put my name on that type of stuff. And then, he was about ready to give up, and then got this other manufacturer, got his specs, sent him his specs or whatever. They built the arrows for him, sent them to him, and that is literally the Rain, the exothermic, the Tomahawk, the crossbow bolt, the Endeavor. He actually used to have a 27, but he discontinued that. I think that's pretty much it. But
Mhm.
but that's the line that he started off with as the base. So you got the Rain, which is a 5 millimeter. That's probably been the top seller period for all of since the company's been open,
Mhm.
except for this year with the new one. But anyway, um, it's a heavy arrow. It's a carbon weave. So, I mean, a little bit of strength there with the weave. A lot of people say the carbon's weave is stronger. Some people say the rolled carbon is stronger. A couple people have taken like 19, 20 animals with one arrow before they've broken it or cracked it, and they didn't even crack it that bad. So it's thick wall, all that type of stuff. It's just an all around strong arrow.
Mhm.
And then a 245 platform in the exothermic. I mean, that's just your basic standard. So if you'd go to Walmart and grab a handful of arrows like we did back in the day, that's basically the size you would get is just a standard 245 size or 246, whatever. And a little bit thinner wall, but still, rolled carbon. It's pretty strong for what it is. I know guys, it's taken 6, 7 animals with one arrow and still going strong with it. Um, the Tomahawk, I don't really see a whole lot of 4 millimeter guys. Here and there, I don't really sell a lot of them, but the thick wall on the Tomahawk is probably one of the thickest arrows I've ever seen as far as carbon thickness and stuff. It's really heavy, really strong because you think it's a micro size arrow. It's got to be something in order for it to hold together because it's so small in diameter. So, a really thick wall there,
Mhm.
and I mean that's pretty much it. I don't really sell a whole lot of crossbow stuff, but I mean the crossbow stuff is you can cut it down to whatever size you want. It's just like a regular carbon arrow, so you don't have to buy like certain
Mhm.
things. That was based around dealers and stuff. So
Yeah.
dealers they can just buy one thing and then cut it down to what they want. But it's a carbon weave also, so a 300 series. And then
And
you got
that's
the lighter, which I don't do 3D. I mean, I've never have. I'm a hunter. That's
Mhm.
just who I am. I've never shot target or anything like that, but a lot of guys shoot the Endeavor 23, 77 GPI, really thin, but really 300 series, really fat arrow, and they do pretty well with it. That's pretty much the old line, uh, basically in a nutshell.
Mhm. I know there's a couple other comers into this too, so we'll get into those. The one I seen, what is it? Is a frenzy or which?
Yes. Well, we went to whenever the first year that I joined the company as part owner, we went to the ATA show in, was it Indianapolis or St. Louis? I think it was Indianapolis. I don't even remember now, but anyway, that's irrelevant. And we had talked about, or he had talked about doing an arrow with those guys. They're based out of West Virginia. They're pretty local here to us, or 45 minutes away, or whatever. And they had talked about doing an arrow together. So we kind of got some samples of some different stuff and started testing some stuff just to kind of see. We sent them some samples and we basically come to an agreement all together and made it happen and have an arrow with the Whitetail Frenzy team they're based out of West Virginia. So basically the same components as the Rain, half out sleeve. Used to have a post and sleeve, but somebody put a patent on that, so I couldn't sell that anymore.
Mm,
But is what it is.
mm.
So that's pretty much it, other than the new one that just came out, the the Mac Daddy, the one that's taken over everything.
Yeah. So we're here. Let's talk about the rain tear, man. Let's talk about it, man. What was what led you down that road? Because it's a phenomenal performing arrow, and I trust me, I know. So
I have seen so many people and talked to so many people at shows, people messaging me, and every once in a while somebody would kind of not really take a jab, but kind of like, man, when you going to get a lighter GPI arrow? When you going to, and I would just hear it periodically, like, and that stuck in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, I need to come up with something. I was like, these arrows, the older arrows are die hard. They're great arrows, but I need to come up with something to kind of freshen it up a little bit. You know, it's been 5 years or whatever. I need to come out with something new. So that just kept clicking in the back of my mind. I'm like, lighter GPI. So I started looking at the Rain and I was like, man, I wonder if I can make a brother to this one, but lighter weight because of the strength, because of the stories I've been getting from the Rain. I mean, people shot through metal fences and everything and just pulled the arrow out and stuck it back in their quiver and kept hunting with it. And I'm just like, I need something obviously not going to be as strong because you lose carbon, you lose strength, but something that's pretty daggone close, but a lighter GPI arrow. And so
Mhm,
I sent some specs to the manufacturer. I said, hey, can you make these specs for a carbon weave, the same as the Rain, just these specs for it? And they sent me some samples, I think it was last year. So I've shot that arrow all year, tested it out. That's basically, if you've never seen any of my videos from last year, it's always all the older arrows. But all my videos, I'm shooting basically a blank arrow because that was my test arrow that I was shooting all year to test it to make sure it was going to hold up and be good.
mhm,
So I don't think anybody realized that I was just shooting a blank arrow because that's what I was shooting. But that's pretty much where it came from. I started shooting it and I was like, man, I shot it through some like frozen meat and stuff that went bad just to test it out and just different tests and hunted with it and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, this is it. You know, I built an arrow and it was like 400 grains. And I was like, this is definitely it. I was like, cause you can, and now I'm 29.5 inch arrow. So anybody any shorter, 29 inch, obviously that weight's going to go down even further. And that's what people want. And I'm like, I need some components to come with it. So I ended up getting the hidden insert just for lighter options and all that type of stuff. And it's just been, I wanted to keep it the same basic principle as the Rain because that was my best seller and that was basically the staple of Warhead at the time.
mhm.
But I also wanted it to have its own thing because it was a lighter GPI version of it.
Yeah,
So
5 millimeter, I think is honestly is probably the best of both worlds. Like
yes,
you don't lose a lot of strength that you would have with like a standard arrow. Standard arrows are
yep,
darn near indestructible. Um, but you also get the benefit of less wind drift and less
yep,
friction, whatever you want to call it, without going down to the difficulty of a 4 millimeter arrow and the
yeah,
componentry that goes along with a millimeter arrow. Like, so it's like a great marriage of both. And then now you've taken a great arrow, the Rain, and then now you've made it into a lighter version in the Rain Terror. And you kind of mentioned an issue. When I say issue, don't it's not what I really meant, but the a compromise you have to make because you're removing carbon to get this light, um,
yeah.
get this light GPI, right? So, I'll ask you this, maybe because I have an idea like how this is done, but what has to be done? So, because as you're taking carbon away from this, like we understand if you shave an arrow, that's how you can change the spine of an arrow. You can shave the carbon and
Yeah.
so on. You can do these things, right? So, how do you get such a light GPI arrow and still be like a 200 spine or still a 250? Like, is there a different carbon that goes into that? I mean, you don't have to give me like the actual formula, but is there something that has to be had to do with the carbon? Because I've heard it has to be like a higher modulus, something like that, so it holds it, and that also becomes a little bit more brittle because of that. So
It's just settings on your, like, CNC machine,
okay,
like, the way it's weaved and stuff. I mean,
okay,
it's nothing real like, if you go into a machine like, "Hey, I need a 55 grain whatever," you basically put it in, and it's basically unfortunately, technology is the king in some aspects of building everything, so
mhm,
you just basically punch it in and, "Hey, I need this and this and this," and it basically does it itself, so there's really no different process. It just it's the way it's programmed, I guess.
okay. Nope, that makes sense. And that I think that's something that a lot of people like. I will tell you, like of the light GPI arrows I've shot, the Terror has been the most durable that I have personally seen. I'm embarrassed to say how many of another company arrows are sitting in my backstop that are broken that I've gone through. I've also had one of those blow. I'm not going to name a name. I'm not here to bash anybody directly, but I've had one of those blow up in a deer, literally, and
Dang.
not yours. It was another company. Blew up into a deer. And then that's what kind of led me down the road to really start looking hot and heavy for something else. And that's what really kind of led me towards you guys. And so I shot the rain. I got a 3-pack of the rain because the Terror wasn't quite out yet. And I had seen that you were getting ready to release the Terror, and I was kind of holding off for that to show up before I really dove into it. And as soon as it hit the market, I got on there, bought, I think, a dozen of the 300 spines. And then I got to start cutting those down and got those sighted in and went out and shot a doe with them. And if I have an issue with that arrow, it's typically like I will bend an insert, and that's if I hit something hard,
Yeah.
like, because I shoot ridiculously distances. I'm bound to miss something at a certain point. I'll bend an insert. I can't
Yeah.
say that about the other company I was using. I was more up to break an arrow than I was to bend an insert. So
Yeah.
with you guys, with yours, that's what tends to happen more often. If I do something stupid, it'll bend an insert. And I'm not saying that the quality is bad. That's all I'm saying. Like, I literally hit something hard, like a cement block or something that was in my backstop. Like, I've done
Yeah.
that. I finally broke one of yours. During a 3D shoot, I accidentally clipped a tree. It was overhanging. I clipped it. It hit the ground and it broke in half. I don't know where I think the other half broke after I hit the tree, but I finally was able to break one, like full on break. And I'm like, well, that's new to me.
I mean, it's going to happen. And that'll happen with anybody. It's one of those things. It's carbon. So,
Mhm.
and I've always been a guy that, like, I don't shoot, like, I will shoot like frozen meat and stuff, but I won't shoot like cinder blocks, and people are shooting steel plates, and that's great. But at the end of the day, the arrow's just going to break at,
Right.
at concrete or metal or anything like that. I mean, it's all the end result. And that's something that I never understood as far as testing. I know it's for content, but as far as testing and stuff goes, I never really understood that, because it's like, what are you looking for? Like, are you just seeing which one breaks less, or because it's going to break?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, things happen sometimes on certain runs also that I've found. And I've talked to the manufacturer about this. Some of the runs that you get, like in the beginning run, like if you do, like, say I order 30 dozen of the 300s, like the first few arrows will be weaker than the middle run. Like the whole middle, like you go through a few arrows, it kind of almost like the programming needs to set in the machine.
Okay.
So, and I told them to don't send me those freaking arrows. Don't send me the first dozen. I'll pay for them. Just don't send them to me because I don't want them.
Mm.
Because I can't tell the difference unless they mark them. Hey, these are the first ones. But I think they still send them to me, because sometimes I'll get some that just break,
Hmm.
and then some that you would think that you could, like, pull a car with it or something. That it's so tough. And it's like, why is this one? It's got to be what it is, but
Who knows?
who knows?
Who knows? And that first run of that two might be not as set up as the other one before it starts going through. Who knows? I don't know what it is. Like, I'm basically speculating because I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, smacking it off a tree, I mean, that's pretty good. Even if you have 2 pieces or a couple pieces, that's still not bad, because it's a friggin' tree.
Right. No, I am not talking crap because it broke. I'm just saying, like, I finally was able to break one, and I didn't purposely shoot a cinder block, or it's like, my backstop, we dug out a spot for a pool, and that's where we put all the dirt. And so whatever was in there, because this used to be an old clay factory where I live, so there's like chunks of
Yeah.
brick, there's like all kinds of stuff in the dirt here, and that's what's there. So eventually, if I'm 130 yards and I miss my mini moose target, it'll hit that backstop, and every now and again it'll find something hard in there, and then
Just don't miss.
just
I
well,
mean,
that's what they say. Just don't miss. But I'll tell you what, you go ahead and shoot 130 yards, see how many times you hit a mini moose. Like, every now and again, you're going to miss.
I get lucky to shoot past 40.
It just happens. It, it just happens, man. Well, let's dive into this. So you tend to go a little bit on the heavier, like the original arrows were a little bit on the heavier side. So let's dive into some of these questions here, and I got some random off the wall questions for you. First off, light versus heavy arrow. Which direction do you tend to go, and why?
If I had to pick one that I could only use the rest of my life, I would go heavy.
Okay. And when you say heavy, what do you mean by heavy? What would be the grain? What would be your tipping point grain weight to say heavy?
My arrows on my other bow are 600 grains,
Okay.
and I know there's that whole rabbit hole with speed versus kinetic energy, whatever, blah blah. My thought process on it is I've always shot a heavy arrow once I got past that ignorance part of just going to Walmart and grabbing arrows.
Hmm.
I've always shot a heavy arrow and I've never had any issue with pass throughs. I've never had any issue with, and I shoot some slow bows. Like my bows are not, this is the first speed bow I've ever shot this year. So naturally I went light because I wanted speed just to try it out.
Hmm.
But I've always shot slow bows. I always shot heavy arrow. Like my arrows are 580 plus, 580 to 600 since I've been hunting for the last 22 years in archery, and I've never had an issue. So I think it's more of a that's just what I've always done,
Hmm.
and I've never really tested any other way. I think that's more towards why I do it or why I would pick it because I've never had any problems with it.
Right. So I hear people argue. You made a good. You are right. I hear the argument about the light arrow. Like, well, you want the speed for the kinetic energy. I'm like, well, if you've ever done the kinetic energy calculations, so take your Sicario, right, that you're shooting, and then run a heavy arrow through it, run a light arrow through it, and then do the KA calculations. You're going to find that the heavier arrow actually it's slower, but it has a higher KE. It's not
Yeah,
much. There's not a big difference. Like you're talking maybe 1 to 2 foot-pound differences on a faster bow. I've
yeah,
seen it. I've seen more of a difference on like a trad bow when you start getting heavier versus lighter. There's more of a difference because the heavier will collects more energy. I don't know the exact answer to it, but
yeah,
there is more of a drastic change in KE in a trad bow than there is a compound bow. So what I found is that your heavy arrow does present a little bit more KE, not much more, just a little bit more, right? But they're pretty much similar to you. It doesn't matter what speed you're throwing out of that bow. So
yeah,
it's really more the bow than the arrow that's
yeah,
producing the KE. So your Sicario, which is one of the faster ones on the market today, it's going to produce X amount of KE. And I'm going to guess it's somewhere around 90 to 95 foot-pounds. Somewhere around there is what your KE is going to end up looking like because of just how fast that bow is, especially if you're shooting it at its true specs of, whatever it is, right? And it doesn't matter if you're shooting that bow at 350 feet, 300 with a 350 grain arrow at 350 feet per second, or a 500 grain arrow at 270, whatever, right? It's all going to be around that 90 foot-pound mark.
yeah,
So that's what I've found in a lot of the testing that I've done myself. So it's more the bow than the arrow when it comes to KE. And I just finished recording an episode with Brent from A3 Archery Custom Bowstrings. And let me tell you, I'm impressed. Brent has over 30 years of experience building custom bowstrings, and it all started from his own personal need as a professional indoor archer, needing a set of strings and cables that he could rely on for precision and consistency, and not constantly dealing with peep twist or bows coming out of time. Brent offers both platinum and premium sets of strings. Platinum strings are made from the new B99 Bloodline fiber. You're not going to find a better fiber out there. And the premium strings is from the old and true BCY 452X. So if you're in the market for a set of strings and precision and consistency is at the top of your list, check out a3archery.com and order your set today. And as a special treat, use the code COUNTRYFRIED. It'll save you 15% on your next set. Because that velocity, I understand it's velocity favored in the KE calculations, but it's not as drastic as you think. And like I said, the heavy arrow kind of wins that. Not by much.
yeah,
It does win it. Um, I'm about to really dive into time to target is the big thing I think most people are arguing today when it comes to light versus heavy. And I don't want to get too far into it right now because I'm still kind of dabbling a little bit.
yeah,
But I can tell you off the top of my head, heavy versus light. Um, the difference between the two time the targets is faster than we can blink.
Yeah.
So there's not a huge difference when it comes to time to target. There is a little bit, but not a huge one that I've found so
Yeah.
far. But anyways, so you prefer the heavier over the light. Have you ever shot like light arrows hunting wise, or is this your first like time really diving into them now with that Sicario?
This year is probably my first. Well, I think the lightest arrow I ever shot was the exothermic.
Okay.
The rest of them have been heavy. I mean, they've been 500 plus, 550 plus. I think my lightest arrow I've ever shot was 560. I think I said 580 earlier. I
Hmm.
think 560 was my lightest arrow I've ever shot.
Okay.
So, I mean, the first time ever. I mean, I'm sitting at 450 right now with the Terror,
Hmm.
and I mean, FOC is good. Everything's flying great. Penetration, all the above. I mean, we're going to see what happens this deer season, but I think it'll be good either way.
Yeah, I think you'll be just fine. Um, Especially with that bow. That thing's got to be screaming with a 450 arrow. Have you put that on a chronograph yet?
Yeah, it's about, I think, what was it, 307 or something like that.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That thing's screaming for 450 grain arrow. Screaming.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. I used to shoot four fletch too, and I love four fletch, and I'll probably end up going back to it before deer season starts just because. But I took down some weight also by taking a vein and going back to three fletch. And I mean, it doesn't save a whole lot, but just every little thing I could get to get it as light as I want it, but yet build the arrow the way I wanted it also. I think an all around perfect weight for whitetail is 450. Anywhere
Mm.
430, 450. That's just typical in my
Yeah,
opinion, I guess. But
yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that one. That's typically where I end up at with most of my arrows, somewhere between. I'm usually in a gamut, especially when I started building a little bit lighter. So it's somewhere between 430 to 470, where I usually end up at, depending upon what point weight
yeah,
I'm using. So I always use the outserts. I have a disdain for hidden inserts. Most of it is unwarranted, but but it's something with me and hidden inserts. Like I've had a couple bad experiences trying to get those to set, and they set up too quickly on me, and I just kind of just got away with it, got away from them. Like I much rather just have an outsert pop it in and be done. So, but
I do not like hidden inserts at all. Like I don't even I can put them in blindfolded, and I absolutely do not like it at all. I'm almost to the point to where I could say I hate it.
yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that because I really seriously like because everyone's like I would have hidden insert. I'm like man, I don't know. I don't really care for them that much, but
I'm to
they're
the point to where I'm just like, no, you don't. You do not want a hidden insert. Here's a half out. This is where you need to go.
so. I mean, do you care to maybe dive in a little bit? Like why? Yeah, I don't like it mostly because number one, I want something where I don't have to add another part to it to keep my arrow from splitting on me. So if I put a hidden insert in and I put a field point or broadhead on that, there's a good chance that arrow's going to split when I hit something, right? Because there's nothing there. It's just carbon that is rubbing up against. So I have
Yeah,
to add something to this now to make this work for me.
yeah,
And just setting it the correct depth. Like, I got a buddy of mine who was starting to dive into this. I think he's getting ready to order some arrows from you, right? And he's asking me about this hidden insert. Like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't like hidden inserts. Here's my reasons why. He's like, well, do you think I need to buy the tool to set it? I'm like, no, here, let me send you a video because I seen your video. And so I sent him yours where you have it kind of half screwed onto the field tip or field point to insert it. I said, I would probably do that. I said the biggest thing I run into is depth. Make sure you have it at the right depth because if not, you're going to have broadhead sticking out the end with the shaft with the shaft still showing. Like there, you just got to make sure you have a good depth, and like you're better off to be a little bit deeper than shallower because as long as you can get some purchase, you're better off that way versus getting all purchase and still sticking out the end of the arrow. So,
yeah.
anyways, but yeah, why do you hate them?
First off, the putting them in, installing them. I don't like it. The tool I've got from Iron Wheel is great. Um, you have to clean it off every little bit, but um, I've tried it with other glues. I've tried it with think Boutique told me about the JB Weld stuff that sets up in 5 minutes. I tried that, did not like them. I've had I've done the whole process correct. Cleaning the shaft, roughing the shaft up, cleaning the component, cleaning everything. Everything is done right, and then you go to insert it, and it dries, and then people are still pulling inserts out. And I'm like, "What the frig is going on with this stuff?" So, I tried different glues. I've had better luck with the black BSI. It gives you a little bit more time to set
Hmm.
stuff, and because I used to use the pink BSI, which sets up in 10 seconds. So, you imagine how fast I had to move and how perfect it had to be to get it in there the first time. Um, but just the overall install, it's so tedious and time consuming. But another thing that just kind of recently surfaced is some of the broadheads. Some of these companies are beefing up their broadheads. So with a hidden insert, the fat part of the ferrule won't go down in the shaft, even though it's says it's a 204. The broadhead, it won't screw down into it. And that's
You
one issue that I do not like at all because it's like you don't have that problem with a half out.
you don't.
And it's because let's face it, nothing is ever perfect. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try to make it perfect, it will never be perfect. And sometimes you could get a dozen arrows and two of them be just a tiny bit smaller on the insert, on the
Hmm.
inside, like a 203 or just above a 203 on a 204 shaft. And that fat part of that broadhead will not go in.
Yep.
And that's an issue that I just don't like, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like the hidden insert. There's just that, and then plus what you said, you have to add an extra component on top to protect that carbon, and that's just it's just additive things, which, people like it. It is what it is,
Mhm.
but just me personally, and I'll build them all day long, I don't care, but that's just my personal opinion. I've always liked the half out, I always liked the design of it. You're 9 times out of 10, you're hunting animals that have pretty much a pretty thin skin basically to a certain point.
Mhm.
So you don't really need a whole lot there. Your arrow's gonna be fine. It's not gonna break. A lot of people, I get questions, "Is that component gonna smash through the arrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you hit like a piece of steel
Yeah.
or or a cinder block or something if you miss the target at 130 yards." But I mean, it's just one of those things that you just kinda you gotta kinda feel what you want, kinda play around with it, and,
Mhm.
I give a lot of different options on that so you can play around with what you want, but me personally, give me the half out all day long.
Eh, Amen. I hear you. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Um, so here's the next one for you. So if you're building your arrow that you're going to be using, this is the only arrow you're going to have. What material would you pick for your components then? So your inserts, stainless steel, aluminum, or brass?
If I was gonna do an outsert, I would look into the stainless.
Okay.
Brass is probably not a bad idea. I haven't got any, like, outsert brass, but, stainless or titanium. Titanium is a little bit stronger,
Hmm.
but you kinda get that little bit lighter weight than stainless, so you can kinda play around with that a little bit, so I would probably say stainless or titanium.
Okay. Yep. I hear you. I hear you on
I'm actually working on getting some. I don't even know if they make them or not, but some titanium half outs.
that. Okay. That'd be
So that
that'd be great.
yeah, that's kinda where I'm at with that. I mean, brass, like I said, brass is pretty tough too for
Mhm.
what it is, but, definitely stainless or titanium for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm with you on that. I've had too many issues. Now, if you're talking about a standard insert, like say for your 245s, I'd not ran into too much problem with aluminum because there's not
Yeah,
enough of it sticking out for it to become an issue. However,
yep,
when you start getting into like the 5 millimeters and things like that, you gotta steer away from aluminum, in my
yeah,
opinion. You
yep,
got to jump up to stainless steel or titanium, where you're going to be bend. Or like I can bend stainless steel, so I know what I'm going to do to aluminum. Like
yeah,
I know what's going to happen to aluminum.
yep.
Um,
Well,
uh,
I have some aluminum half outs or not half outs, but outserts for the, Tomahawk. They
okay.
look identical to the stainless ones, but they're aluminum. but I pretty much recommend like 60 pounds or less draw weight. Anything above that, you're just going to take a chance on bending them, breaking them because it's aluminum.
Yeah.
So, I've had a few people test them out with 80 pounds and stuff like that, and that's a big negative on that side of it.
It's a big
But
negative for a spider. You're asking for troubles, man.
no, yeah, big time.
So the next one I have for you then is when it comes to arrow spine. I'm not talking trad bows. I'm talking compound bows. Is there such a thing as too heavy of a spine for a compound bow, in your opinion?
I think it could be to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're shooting 40 pounds and you want to shoot a 200 spine, I mean, that might be a little bit much, but realistically, I don't even know what the spines were of the arrows I shot when I first started hunting. So as far as I know, I could have been shooting 60 pounds and I could have shot a 150 spine for all I know. I have no idea because I never looked at it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's definitely weaker spine is definitely an issue for tuning and stuff, but you could possibly run into tuning if you get something that's way too stiff for what you're shooting. But I think I could shoot a 200 spine out of my Sicario just fine, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I say, and I am with you on that. Like I've got the 200s because I bought the 200s because I'm making turkey arrows. So I was making them really long and to hold the extra weight and all the length there so it's stiffer. But then I've come down to what I would use for a hunting arrow. And, so I took maybe 3 or 4 inches off the front of them. But I got those flying like super, super great out of and
Yeah.
now I'm 70 pound at 29.5 inch draw. So I got them flying super well. So I don't know. I think I'm with you. I think lighter, if you go, there is such thing as too light of a spine when it comes to tuning issues, but with compound bows and the way that they operate, so you're not trying to shoot around the shelf or off the shelf. I don't think too stiff is an issue versus just the added weight. Like you're going to add weight to your
Yeah.
arrow because it's a higher GPI. So
Yeah, you actually lose a little bit of that spine if you do put some front end weight on it. So it doesn't really matter if you put a 200 spine up and you shoot 200 grains up front or 150 grains or whatever you shoot, you're still putting a little bit of weight on it. So it's still going to make it average out, I guess, if that makes sense.
You're right, and then you can stiffen it by putting weight in the back, and you can
Oh,
weaken it by putting weight in the front. So
yeah.
you can play
Like
around with it a little bit.
I always up spine my arrows. Like I'm shooting a 250 spine. I could shoot a 300 because that was my test arrow for a year
Mhm.
was a 300 spine. I can shoot it just fine. I just like less flex whenever I'm shooting. I think it obviously corrects itself faster, but I'm always like the stiffer spine arrow. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I think I want to jump back to 250s when I make my next order with you. I think I'm going to jump with the 250s. The 200s are good. I like those, but I think I'm just going to like the happy medium between 300 and the 200 is the 250. So like I can reduce a little bit of that overall weight, but still be in a ballpark. I'm assuming my bill is going to be somewhere around 475. I think
Yeah.
if I jump down to the 250, which I think is like primo for me at 475. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I like the favorite to go up versus down, and
Yeah.
300 for me, I'm flirting with, because with the stainless steel insert and 125 grains up front, I'm flirting on the line between a 300 and a 250 on most arrows. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm just gonna close my eyes and go to my shelf and just pick one like I did at Walmart and see what happens.
see what happens. And
Yeah.
all these, and I'm like, see, this is what you can do. It's like one of those things where
Yeah.
people go to Walmart, like, I'm gonna go buy the Walmart boat. I'm gonna have a whole season shooting this just to show
Yep.
you guys that it can be done. And you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna go just pick an arrow, and that's what I'm gonna use.
And it's gonna be a 500 spine for my Sicario.
five,
That'll
five,
be my luck. I'm like, dang it.
watch that thing bend in half as
Yeah.
it's going down, like wobbling, like porpoising down the range, man. Well, I
When
got
it leaves the bow, it's just gonna be like this the whole time.
flying down. Oh my goodness. Before we close out, I got a couple more questions for you if you have time, if you don't mind. But so you talked a little bit about four fletch versus three fletch, and so your favorite more of the four fletch going back to that, is it like an aesthetic thing for you, or do you see that there's a in your observable, uh, I guess what you observe, is there a better performance for you? Like, do you get better steering? Do you get better accuracy with it? Like, why go back to four fletch?
I change up broadheads a lot, like just playing around with different stuff, and it seems like if I want to go from a fixed blade to a expandable and then back to a different fixed blade or something like that, it seems like I get better steering with a four fletch, and just you can kind of visually see it, which you're everything's tuned right, everything's like that, but you can just kind of see where the flex is on the arrow, and you see less of that with a four fletch for some reason. I think it just flies flatter. Then you can steer those broadheads. I'm a fixed blade guy, so I shoot fixed blade anyway, and I
Mhm.
think that's kind of why because I've always shot fixed blades, but I do shoot expandables also. But I think that just helps a little bit with steering on switching out broadheads a lot because I change broadheads a lot, just trying different broadheads out because why not? You know what I mean?
There's a lot out there. Might as well try them.
Yep.
Well, you answered my next question I have for you. Whether you're going to be a fixed blade or a mechanical, so you choose fixed blade. Which one do you mind sharing which one you shoot?
My go to fixed blade is the REK FX4. I've shot it for the last couple of years. I
Hmm.
actually have one laying here beside my computer.
Hmm.
But um, so far, and I know there's a whole lot of tuning stuff that goes into your bow and all that stuff, but so far I can slap one of those on there and I don't have to change anything with field points. Now, keep in mind, I don't shoot past 40 yards when I'm hunting. The furthest shot I've taken on a deer is 25 yards in 22 years, and that was last year in Kentucky.
Hmm.
So my biggest buck to date was 7 yards. So there's not going to be a whole lot of fluctuation anyway
Right.
for the most part, but I can slap that on there and interchange my field points and not have to change one single thing. And it
Yeah.
just not it's nice. It's strong head, it's very accurate. I've never had any issues with it, and REK is a great company. I'm not trying to, like, throw out a REK commercial or anything, but, Matt's a great guy, and I support them as far as that goes.
I
So
mean, it doesn't hurt that you have a link to them on your website. So plus a little
oh, yeah.
catalog going. So I get it. Like it's okay. Listen, we're here for you to get out whatever you want to get out, man. This isn't the one of those shows, man. I'm here to get out whatever you want to get out, brother.
Well,
But
if in that case, I've got Warhead Arrow Co. REK broadheads on my website.
there you go. There you go. Check them out. Warheadarrowcompany.com. Get yourself a set, man. Uh, uh, I fluctuate back and forth between fixed blade and mechanicals. And I think one of the biggest arguments most people make is blood trails
Yeah.
between the two. I don't know. I don't know what your experience is with this, but I'm gonna throw this out, and then you can chime in. I have found that it does not matter what broadhead I shoot. A blood trail is going to be a blood trail no matter what. I've put big cut mechanicals through deer that if it wasn't for the snow, we wouldn't have seen any blood, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I'm talking double lung or liver lung, like something that should be bleeding, right?
Yep.
And then I've put a inch and a 16th inch fixed blade through a deer, and you thought that we put in a huge gash and it's just leaking blood everywhere, right?
Yep.
And I've seen both sides, and I've also seen inverses of that too, where the
Yep.
mechanical just looked like a murder scene, and the fixed blade you barely had a blood trail. I've seen both sides of this. What is your experience in this?
It basically boils down to, and I know you're thinking it probably is shot placement. Some people that say they make a perfect shot probably didn't make as perfect of a shot as what they thought. And I have seen, like you said, I've watched them drop 10 yards away with a fixed blade, and I've shot a mechanical and let them sit and made a pretty good shot and let them sit for hours and come back and they're still alive.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at video of it and I'm like, there's no way that deer should be alive. There's
Right.
no way. And he's still sitting upright and I had to put another arrow in him. And I'm like, what the crap is going on here? So maybe it wasn't a as perfect as a shot as I thought, but I had video of it. I seen where the arrow went in. I'm just like, there's no way that deer should have still be alive.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had I'm not going to name drop any companies or anything, but I had an arrow or I had a broadhead that did not expand. It was a front deploy many years ago on my biggest buck ever. Luckily, it was a perfect shot and he went 40 yards. But I could tell by when I looked at the arrow, looked at the broadhead, I could tell it didn't even open. I called the company. I'm like, "Is there something I need to do?" I mean, I was relatively new because that's been many years ago. And I was like, "Is there something I need to do to the broadhead or something?" This thing did not open. I was like, "I can open it, but it did not open on it." Oh, they told me, "Yeah, you gotta work the mechanism." That's what they told me. I'm like, "Okay, well," but there again, shot placement.
Right.
It was good. It didn't open, and the deer went 40 yards. So I've had both experiences with both types. I'm not opposed to any of them. Everybody always like, I'm diehard this, I'm diehard that. I'm like, I just want to try everything. I
Right.
mean, shot placement's you're going to be successful. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter what you're using. Um, I don't prefer, me personally, I probably will never shoot a broadhead with a rubber O-ring on it ever again. I don't
Right.
like the rubber O-ring. Um, Other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, you're going to be successful with the right shot placement, regardless of what you're using. But I've seen both ways. I've seen blood trails. A lot of people say fixed blade. I want fixed blade because I'm guaranteed a pass through. Nah, not really. Not every time. But that's what people think. And I get it. It is what it is. But I've even because they everybody says you lose that kinetic energy on an expandable that opens up frontwards, and I'm like, I've had complete pass throughs with 60-pound bow and no issues whatsoever with a front deploying expandable. And it's like it's just one of those things that just I think it boils back down to shot placement and everybody's so diehard on a certain brand and a certain this and a certain that. It's like just try some stuff. Don't be afraid. I mean, it's just make a good shot.
I will. I'm not tooting my own horn. I have shot a lot of deer. I usually shoot somewhere between two to four deer a year. I've been hunting since I've been 14. I have shot quite a bit of deer in my lifetime. I have used both fixed blades and mechanicals, and they both equally work as well as
Yeah.
any of them. Right? They've not. I have not noticed one that does a blood trail better than the other. I have not noticed one that killed deer better than another. I have not
Yep.
seen this. Um, Shot placements is king. The only difference that I will tell you that I've ever seen is with a good sharp fixed blade. I see more often than not that the deer wasn't 100% sure what happened and
Yeah.
they don't run off as far. That is the
Yep.
only thing that I've seen different. That is it.
Yep.
I've shot multiple deer with a sharp fixed blade that they originally jump from the sound. They might trot a couple steps and then they stop and they look around. And then next thing you know, don't they fall over
Yep.
because they didn't know what happened. Like, what was that?
Yep. I was after a doe one time, and this doe was probably the smartest animal that was ever created. And she could smell you 30 miles away down upwind. So finally, she came in one day and I got a shot at her and she didn't go 10 yards. And I had just a little Amazon special fixed blade,
Mhm.
just playing with them, just trying them out. She didn't go 10 yards. And I'm just like, okay, cool. This is my broadhead forever. And then I'm like, nah, I'm trying everything. Forget it.
Mhm.
But I mean, same thing. I've had deer. I've shot deer with fixed blades before, different fixed blades, and like you said, you would think that you didn't even hit the deer. There was so little blood, and then other times it looked like a friggin' river. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just one of those things that you just and people. The bad part about that is, and it don't really drive me nuts, but it's like people just don't understand. People blame it on the equipment. And it's like, did you really make a good shot? That's the thing. It
Mhm.
wasn't, because a lot of people like pass throughs because you get blood on both sides. I get that. I've had a situation before to where I didn't have a pass through and didn't hardly find any blood and never found the deer. And I mean, it happens. But had the shot been better, probably would have found the deer.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just like they'll blame oh, I'm never shooting that broadhead again because I didn't find 7 gallons of blood laying everywhere. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's the whole part of learning how to track and learning how to do that, making a good shot first and foremost. But, it is what it is. With a good shot, it doesn't matter what you use, it's going to happen.
Yeah. But here's the key concept though. Like once you lose confidence in something, whether it was its fault
Yeah.
or not, you lost confidence in it. Like
Yep.
y- you're better unless you can rebuild that confidence, you're better off just moving off to something else
Yep.
to get that confidence back. Or if not, it's going to affect how you hunt and it's going to affect what you
Yep.
do. I'm not,
Confidence is a big factor in
yeah,
hunting.
I'm not saying be reckless and keep making the same mistake over and over again, but learn from it and become better. But you have to have confidence, and
Yep.
because you'll go out more, you'll shoot more, you'll sit in the stand longer if you have more confidence in what you're
Yep.
doing. So, and that's about the only way you really. That's the only way you really actually harvest animals. Like, every now and again you're lucky, but most of the time it's a lot of it is seat time and learning animals and being there at the right point, at the right time. So I don't know.
Well, there
Just
was a year there that I didn't think I was ever going. I mean, I think every animal in my woods was on crutches. I'm just like, man, why can I not do this? What is wrong with me? So I switched up my whole friggin' process, and it was just a confidence thing. Like
yeah,
I was like, I can't hit a deer to save my life. I mean, I can hit them, I just can't kill them.
yeah.
And but I switched up a few little things and it's almost like got my mind off of it, and then walked out and started slamming them again. I was like, all right, this is it.
Hard
But
stack.
now I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot whatever I want to shoot. I'm just gonna be confident in my setup and my ability to do it. So
Yep. No, it's that's 100% what it is. So it comes down to just confidence. Like, and if you're confident with it, you keep rocking with it. No matter if it's mechanical, whatever it is, right? Whatever you're confident in,
yep.
keep using it. And we would like to thank you for your support of the Chasing Your Experience podcast. If you'd like to continue to support the podcast, then please check out our online store at bonfire.com. There, you can purchase exclusive Chasing Your Experience podcast t-shirts and hoodies for all members of your family. Check out the link down in the description to find the store. And now, back to the pod. But if you have an issue, don't be afraid to look inwards to see if you're maybe the issue, or also like don't be afraid to maybe look somewhere else if you want to. Like
Yep.
just don't blame it all on the equipment all the time, which is
Yep.
probably a good idea. You're in the arrow business and not the broadhead business, because you'd be getting a lot of phone calls every day.
Oh yeah.
Your broadhead didn't do this. I wasn't it.
Well, there was a guy, I don't even remember who it was. This was whenever the other owner had it, and they said that the arrow cost him the biggest deer of his life, and I'm just like, and
Um,
I was new to this, and I'm like, how did the arrow cost you? I'm like, did the arrow break in mid-flight, or did it break when you shot it? No. Okay. Well, did it break when it hit a tree or something before you hit the deer? I mean, did something happen? Did it just spontaneously combust in mid-flight? No, I hit the deer. I hit the deer. I'm like, so you made a bad shot. Gotcha.
no, I hate it. Listen,
Like it's not the friggin' arrow.
no, I've made a mistake once, but where I was using light and Nox and they didn't really fit in the shaft very well. So they moved a little easily. And so I go knock tune like all my arrows to make sure they're coming off the bow the same. And this one, I don't know what happened, but the knock ended up twisting a little bit. And I was using all white fletchings, 4 fletch. So it's not like you really knew what was supposed to be up without marking it. I did not do that. That was a learning lesson for me that day. But it spin enough to where when I shot at this buck, it ended up diving low and right, like low and left. So it hit him way up front in the brisket. I'm like, what just happened there? So I came home, I shot that same arrow again, did the exact same thing. So I twisted the nock. Well, I think one to the next setting on the fletching. Like, so I rotated like 90 degrees, shot it again, hit the bullseye. I'm like, there you go. Oh, there you go. That was my oopsie daisy. It's not the arrow's fault. It wasn't the Nox fault. Like it was user error essentially, right? That's what that became.
Yeah.
Well, man, before we close this out, like lighted Nox, what are your thoughts on those? Do you like using those? Have you what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I like the whole concept of them. Me
Hmm.
personally, I like seeing like from distance, mostly practicing because 9 times out of 10, if you shoot a deer in the middle of the day, you're not gonna be able to see it very good anyway on video if you film. But just basically for practicing and stuff, I can kind of see because I'm getting older. My eyes are not the greatest in the world. I do have some reading glasses that I wear sometimes, but I just I want to see where the arrow is actually hitting at, so I don't have to walk up there and be like, maybe I hit it, maybe I didn't, just so I know where I'm hitting, where I'm aiming at.
Hmm.
That's I think that's a really good concept for a lot of knocks. Like I said, low light situations when you're hunting. I mean, I get that part of it too when you're filming and stuff, and that's pretty fun. I like them. I
Yeah.
mean, I was going to shoot the tomahawk one year, and I didn't do it just so I could shoot a lot of knock. So, so yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you this, since you're getting older, don't, if they ask you when you want to do bifocals, if and when that time comes, do not do progressives. If you want to continue to shoot archery really well, they are horrible for trying to see and shoot with archery wise. Cause I have them now
Yeah,
and like the eye doctor's like, oh, this will help. This will help. And the problem is that, so for me to see distance, I have to do this. And then this is like middle. So if I'm like just looking straight through, and this is like middle distance, and then I have to do this if it's like up close. And so when you're shooting archery, where are you always looking through? You're always looking through the
yeah,
middle. So
yeah,
it's no. So if you ever get to that point, don't do progressives. Like do the hard line bifocals if you're going to do that, or stick to contacts, because I shoot way better with contacts. I can see better, and they're not bifocal contacts. They're just regular for my
yeah.
far sightedness. So yeah. That's that. I'll give you
Okay.
that little tidbit of information. Don't do it.
Appreciate that.
Even if your insurance will pay for the best of the best, don't do progressives. I've learned the hard way. So next time I get glasses or whatever, I'm going back to regular glasses, or a hardline bifocal, because it won't be the progressive. I'll have my distance, and then somewhere down here I'll be able to look at my sight tape as I'm moving it, so I can see what it's doing. Well, Jason, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I've been dying to get you on here, or at least Warhead on here, since I met you guys in Columbus. Is there anything else you want to get out before we start the show, before we really close this down?
Oh, I don't really have anything specific. Just get out and shoot.
Well, let's see. Is there anything that people should be on the lookout for with Warhead Arrow Company here in the very near future? Is there some little tidbits and things like, hey, you guys might want to be paying attention because we got something big coming out, or are we status quo right now?
It's kind of steady right now. Like I've been thinking about some different target stuff, but as far as the arrow line goes, I think it's pretty good for now.
Mhm.
There might be some different spines. Like I'm working on a 400 spine for the Terror for like some of the women that shoot and people that shoot lower pounded and stuff. So I'm working on that because that GPI is going to be freaking stupid. But
What
other than that, possibly just different spines of different stuff and things like that, but nothing real big right now.
Just case in point. So what is the lowest spine you have in the Terra right now? Is it 350?
Yeah,
What's the GPI on that?
6'9".
6.9 GPI on a 350.
Yeah.
Because
And
the
I'm thinking either 6'1", 6'2" on a 400 possibly. It's
yeah,
not going to be a big gap there, but if you go any lower than that, you might as well just throw a straw on your bow and shoot a straw. One
yeah,
of those pixie stick things.
yeah. Oh, pretty much that's what man, that's what you ought to do. you come up with a women's only arrow and call it the pixie stick. That would be awesome.
Could be a good idea. That's trademarked. Do not copy. Somebody's already got it right now. They're somebody somewhere is hacking your system. They've already got it.
There,
It'll
I
be
got
on
it.
the market before
Listen,
the end of the day.
I am not that popular. Someone has that amount of time on them to do that, then
Hey, you'd be surprised. Some of those bigger companies, some big corporate stuff, you would be surprised
no, I
on
wouldn't be
what
surprised.
they do.
I would. I wholeheartedly believe what you just said. That they are doing stuff like that because
Yep.
that's what it is. Well, my man, it has been a pleasure. I have, like I said, I've been dying to get you on here for a while. I've been hounding you for a while, and I apologize for my insistency to keep bugging you.
I try to get on, and I'm just like, man, do I have time to do this? Because where my mom's having her issues and stuff, I try to fluctuate my time and go over there and see her because she don't have much longer, and I'm just like, I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm like, where is the time? So
Yeah, it's understandable, man. And I say that tongue in cheek. I don't really mean anything by
oh yeah,
by that. Like, it's just been one of those things. Like, I've been dying to get you here, and I'm glad we finally were able to connect and get this episode out. Well, Jason, as we close this out, where can people find you at? Website, all those.
warheadarrowco.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I do have a YouTube channel. It's my personal YouTube, but I've incorporated Warhead with it, so it's Jason's Killing and Grilling / Warhead Arrow Company. That's pretty much it. All the social media platforms.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here. Is there any final words of wisdom you have for the crowd before we shut this down?
Words of wisdom. Shot placement.
Shot placement. Practice it. Know it. Learn it.
Learn your equipment. Sleep with your bow. Sleep with your arrows. Know your equipment front and back. Shot placement.
Now you sound like a Marine. This is my bow. Germany like it, but this one is mine.
Somebody breaks in the house, I'm just going to pull my bow out.
I don't know. I've seen you shoot. I think I'd rather take my chances with you with a gun than I would a bow. I think I've seen you shoot. I think you'd be able to get that arrow to go around a corner if you wanted it to.
I get lucky sometimes.
Well, Jason, thanks again. I appreciate you coming on. And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all spending the last hour and a half with us. I understand your guys' time is important and valuable to you. And we don't take it lightly that you chose to spend the last hour and a half with Jason and I talking about Warhead Arrow Company and pretty much all things arrows. It would be much appreciated if you guys would like and follow the show on the podcast platform you found us on. And also, if you'd like a little bit more about Country Fried, follow us on our social media accounts on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and you can catch the podcast on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Amazon Music, and also the video feed will appear on YouTube and Spotify. So check us out there. But, ladies and gentlemen, until our experiences cross paths again, may y'all have the courage to fail, yet the humility to learn. And as always, hope you stay safe out there, and God bless you. Thank you for listening to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. Before you go, don't forget to leave us a review and follow the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Are you hungry for more Country Fried Outdoors? Then follow us on Instagram at Country Fried Outdoors or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Country Fried Outdoor Productions.